Welcome back to another episode of Forbidden Depths. I'm your host, Queen Frostbitten, and we're here today to get down, dirty, and sultry by staying open, educated, consensual, and safe. If you're returning, welcome back to another episode. Thanks for supporting the channel and its growth. If, of course, you're new here, make sure you follow, like, and subscribe, because one taste will never be enough. Thank you so much. We have Miss Gia Paige today on Forbidden Depths. I want to go ahead and say thank you again for joining us. And if you could go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, of course. My name is Gia Paige. I've been in the adult industry for 8 years, and I'm happy to share any type of insight that can help any new performers or anybody who's even slightly interested in the business. Anything that would help, really. Things that I thought that I should have known, you
Mhm.
know? There's no
Right.
handbook.
Oh, yeah. I wish there were.
Yeah, me too. There would be a lot of things that would have helped me in the beginning.
Yes, that would be so amazing. Like that's what I was kind of looking at whenever I was starting up, because I'm a dom, so there wasn't like something I could look at and have a guideline. It was more hit or miss, like try things and learn through trial and error. So was that kind of your experience too, Gia?
Yes, 100%. I went into this business knowing nothing. To be honest with you, how I even got into this was I was curious about sex work.
Mhm.
I was online doing some cruising and thinking about doing full service. And I responded to a couple of ads, and a person reached out to me and they were like, well, would you ever want to be in like mainstream porn? And I
Mhm.
was like, you know what? That actually sounds pretty fun. I would like to try that. And that was all
Yeah,
I knew going. I knew nothing else.
right. Nice, nice. So you didn't have a mentor. You kind of did everything on your own, which was really, really cool. That was actually one of my questions, kind of how you got started. So you were just kind of online surfing. What platform did you start with?
I think it was Sexy Jobs, I want to say. That's like one of the ones that sticks out in my head the
Hmm.
most. And I'm pretty sure there was even some like Craigslist ads that I had
Hmm.
responded to.
Yeah, so that's what I had heard previously too. There were several people that kind of started on Craigslist, and the ones doing like full service, they started on Backpage, and then Backpage went down. So it was really cool to hear the evolution, kind of where they started and where they are now. So whenever you started out in the beginning and you were applying to these and thinking about mainstream, did you ever think you would get as big as you are?
Absolutely not. I thought that this was just going to be, I'm going to go into it, I'm going to experience it. It'll be one of those things that I could say that I did because I am one of those people. I'll try anything once if
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested in it type of person. I never expected to be doing it this long, let alone be kind of a well-known name.
Yeah, like huge mainstream name. If you guys don't follow her on Twitter, make sure you do. Give her some love, show her some love. It's at Gia Page, and she conveniently in her bio has all of her links. So you will find something for you there.
Yeah, well, I hope so.
Oh, they will. They will. I've been following you for a while now. I
Hi.
can speak from experience.
I'm really happy. I'm glad that we were able to connect.
Yes, me too. Me too. So, um, how do you feel the process was whenever you kind of got started? Do you feel like it's an easy industry to get into? Do you feel like you had to like pump a lot of work into it?
I think it really depends on how you get into it. Like if you're
Mhm.
smart enough to do your research, which I was not,
Right.
I think it could be an easier process, but I think it's a lot of hard work to actually get into it and find somebody who wants to represent you to be able to be booked by companies. Because when I got in, basically if you didn't have an agent, you couldn't get booked. Your agent was the one who spoke on your reputation, who would help you get in.
Right.
And I had an agent, I got an agent, but what I didn't know is he wasn't a reputable agent. let alone a licensed agent.
Right.
So basically, what I was getting into is some guy that would send me to gigs that were not always that, what's the word I'm looking for? Not professional.
Yeah.
So I think it is hard. I mean, it was hard for me. The first few shoots that I did, I wasn't necessarily happy with or proud of, but I think after having done those couple shoots and I had spent every last dime that I had to get to New York and start this process, I was like, I kind of made my bed. I had
Right.
to just roll at that point if I, at the very least, wanted to get out of the situation that I was in.
Right. So that's kind of, I think, where most people start kind of confused, fumbling around, figuring things out. And in the beginning, we do things that we don't know isn't in the best interest of us and our careers. So I feel like if we had more information available, like we were talking about that handbook, if we had more information available from somebody that had a good reputation, somebody that actually wanted to help us from inside of the community, I feel like that would be a great asset for someone new that's coming in. Like you don't have to get lost and kind of find yourself. You can start with a decent foundation so that you don't have to worry about your safety or consent even being an issue, because there's a lot of issues with lack of consent. People just don't understand you're allowed to say no, you know?
Yeah, I think you get on these sets and there's all these people and there's all these things going on, and sometimes I think people feel pressured
Yeah.
because don't want to let the studio down or they don't want to let their agent down, and then there's always the positions you find yourself in where I've had a company tell me halfway through a scene when I wanted to leave, I wasn't comfortable with the content, that I was not getting paid if I left.
Hmm.
People rely on that money. It's really expensive to be a performer when factor in testing and wardrobe and
Oh, yeah.
traveling to shoots, whether it be, by flight or, Uber, things like that. People rely on this, especially new
Yes.
people. They're trying to make a name for themselves. So you have to think about it. Are in the grand scheme of things, you probably feel like there's this huge expectation for you to basically fold for them.
Yes.
And I think it's really important that people know right from jump that that is not true. Because
Right.
sometimes the agent will even tell you, you have to be this type of person. You have to do this thing, that thing, or the other thing to become popular. When I got in, it was like, oh, if you don't do anal, then you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Like I've been told by an agent, like a, reputable agent. He was like, well, when I signed you, I thought that you were just going to be one of those people who came in and I got a couple shoots and then you were just going to go home and that was going to be it. He was like, because you have tattoos, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, damn, so you really thought that I was going to fail? And I ended up,
Yeah.
and I am now. And now that's what you want to tell me. Is kind of a kick in the ass. It's like the
Yeah.
biggest backhanded compliment you could pay somebody.
Yes. 100%. 100%. They were like, well, I thought you would have enough to kind of get you here, but I didn't think you would have enough talent to continue the growth. That's fucking dumb. Like
Yeah.
way to hinder your assets and the potential growth from you and this individual. Like, I don't know.
Unfortunately, it's pretty commonplace. There are some really great agents in this industry that, put their girls first. And I think that that's wonderful. But there's
Yeah.
also mixed in there a lot of really, shady dealings going on. And
Oh,
if you
yeah.
don't have information, I think there should be like a website. Hey, here's all of the agencies that are licensed. And these are people that,
Yes. So I was actually thinking about doing that. I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm currently learning to be a software engineer, and I'm going to try to make something like that, an app for people that are in the business, like for models, for DOMs, for just anyone that's in sex work that wants access to this if they're trying to branch out and get into that. So I thought that was really cool that you brought that up. It's why I started learning to begin with. I want to be able to do something for models to help keep them more safe, because I mean, if someone's got a really good reputation or a really bad reputation, models talk. but it would be nice to have it all in one place at a credible source. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And then, people coming in, they don't really have info from other models,
Yeah.
especially when you're out. I had no other models to speak of. I was just at some dude's apartment in New York. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I nobody else to say, hey, you should be doing this, or it would be cool and safe for you to be doing this. So I think that's also a huge factor in why the website would be great, because
Yes.
a lot of times, more often than not, no, they don't have anybody to talk to or bounce
Yeah.
ideas off of, except for their agent or wannabe agent, and they're going to tell you a lot of the times what you want to hear.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I feel like a lot of them feel like you could be like a meal ticket and they just want to tell you certain things to kind of keep you there, which also creates issues for everyone involved. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I've experienced that firsthand. I've watched people come in and basically people say, oh, yeah, I know they're going to get one shoot, but that's money in my pocket. And then the girls end up going home either broke or in the negatives. And
Yeah.
it's sad. I don't, people shouldn't be doing that to people. This is supposed to be a help each other out, trust each other to the fullest extent, really, when you think about all of the stuff that you give in this industry. And there are
Yes.
out there who will just use you up and spit you out just for, whatever type of percentage they would get off your shoot.
Yes. Completely. I completely agree. And that's kind of why I wanted to open up and do this podcast in the first place. I kind of want to shine light on that, let people know, hey, you're not alone. Shit like this happens. And unfortunately, it happens more than it should. And let's kind of try to work together to make it a safer environment for everyone. Like, I feel like if the community as a whole came together and they were more supportive and more giving and more understanding, like we can have a really good fucking community. It would be trying to weed out those few people that just weren't good to be in the community. But I mean, that's what awareness does. That's what education does. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. If we had like a little support group of information that everybody was willing to share, I think that would
Yes.
be beneficial.
Yes. Me too. So let's go ahead and go into the strengths. What do you feel are the strengths that make you successful as a performer?
Consistency. I think that's the most important thing, whether it's, doing online work or promoting yourself online or talking to your fans or, paid sites, whatever have you. I think that's the most important thing.
Mhm.
Keeping yourself at the forefront of this industry is really important, because when you start lacking on that, it, it sounds harsh, but people are going to forget about you.
Oh
There's
yeah.
so many people coming in all the time, all the time. So it's easy to kind of fall back and be forgotten. I think it's super important to keep your brand consistent.
Yes, I would agree. And I see you doing like you're online a lot, like even on days where I know that you don't feel that well. I've reached out to you and you've been like, yeah, I don't feel so well. And sometimes you'll even comment on like if you're going through like you were sick just a little while ago, like it's okay to let that part of you be showing too. You don't have to disappear while you're sick. And I think that's a common misconception that people have. They expect us to kind of be robots and just to always be perfect and always be feeling good and always be like dressed sexy, ready to do some kind of sexy stuff. And that's not how it is.
Absolutely not. I think people forget that your brand can be whatever you want it to be. There
Yeah.
is no strict line that you have to walk in order to be your own brand. You can be yourself. You can show yourself to your
Hmm.
fan base, and your fans are going to love that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Some people like to do that, I guess, cookie cutter way of being your brand. It's just you're
Hmm.
all sexy all the time and there's no emotion, there's no you. There's even people who create an entire persona to do this and have to adhere to that, which,
Yeah.
you know, kudos to those people, because I bet that is just exhausting. I can't
Oh, yes.
imagine but in my experience, it's been so much easier staying consistent because my fans know me,
Yeah.
like open about when I'm going through stuff, and they're very supportive of me because of that.
Yes. I too feel like that is the most beneficial because I've noticed, like we were talking about just a moment ago, the persona thing. I've noticed that a lot of people that have the persona that they have to like keep up with, it is much harder for them to be consistent, which that's one of the strengths that you just mentioned a moment ago. And if mentally you're not in a good space to kind of hold that persona up, it gets too heavy for you. And when it gets too heavy, that's whenever you kind of fall off the map or have some kind of like breakdown or you freak out. It's because life and this persona just it gets too heavy over time. But if you're yourself and you're like checking in and you're like, well, today's not a good mental health day, guys. I want to let you know that I'm here. I'm just not feeling that well. People are going to be like, cool. I hope you get better. I hope you feel better. Supportive. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And it's extremely emotionally taxing to always have to keep up a personality that isn't really you.
Oh, yes.
I think I, in my opinion, it's just not healthy to do that to yourself. I think that this industry would be much better off if we convinced people to be themselves, to be their true selves, instead of being like, oh, well, you have to act like this because, people want to see you as this. It's more professional or
Right.
whatever the fuck they're trying to feed you because it's not fair and it's
Yeah.
not right to do that to people. It's really not. You should be taught to be yourself. And because there's different things out there for every single different person. Some people might like that, always sexy all the time. And then other people are going to like that real, that raw.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever it is, whatever you want to be, there's always people out there that are going to like you. You will
Yes.
gravitate to whatever you are, or they're going to gravitate toward another person. Everybody has different preferences, so you can really just be and do whatever you want as long as it makes you happy.
Right. Yes, I completely agree. So, kind of in line with that, I feel like one of the biggest things that kind of helped you develop as an individual in any kind of adult community um, is going to be networking. How do you feel about networking?
I think it can be beneficial, but I also think there's a lot of um I guess, how would I say this, there's you have to be careful with how you network, right?
Oh,
So
yes.
there's retweet groups and stuff like that, or, like Discord channels where it's all, adult industry people, but like they don't
Mhm.
understand that, a lot of fans are turned off by those like constant retweets or, promotional things and stuff like that. So I think networking
Yeah.
is great. I just think that you can't get lost in that type of networking with other people,
Right.
if that
Yes, it does. It's kind of like a commercial now and then is cool. It's not going to get, too offensive. You're going to be watching your show and having an ad or two. You're like, "Cool. I'm accustomed to ads. This is cool." But then whenever you're watching something and it's an ad every 2 minutes, you're like, "What the fuck? I'm just done with this. I'm not going to watch it anymore."
Absolutely. I know I'm really close with my fans and I talk with them a lot about this stuff. And the main thing that I see is, people that they know that are genuine coming off as like spam accounts. You know what I mean? People,
Yeah.
whether they're on your Twitter or they're on your OnlyFans, if you're constantly just doing this, promotion, retweet groups, stuff like that, it's going to deter people from coming to your page. They're there
Right.
for you. That's not to say like you can't promote your friends or promote things that, people that you idolize or that you care about are doing. But if that's all that you're doing, it's definitely a deterrent.
Yes, I completely agree. I completely agree. And that's kind of why I actually, as a consumer, stopped following people too, because it's like I never seen anything from them, like ever. It was just like they would have a list that they would go through of retweeting people. And I'm all for supporting everybody. But if I don't see anything for you and I'm following you to try to support you and I'll never see you, then why would I be there? It's like a letdown almost. Like I
Exactly.
can't be there to support you in the way I want to, and you're never there.
Exactly. Exactly. And I'm a consumer. I like to support people. I've subscribed to so many different, OnlyFans accounts. That
Yeah.
is one of the only reasons why I would unsubscribe to an account is because all I see is promo, 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 promo when I'm
Yeah.
there for content. And I know that fans feel the exact same way.
Yeah. 100%. And it's one of those things where if I'm buying something, I want to know the quality of it. I don't want to make a purchase and me not get what I'm buying, kind of thing.
I think that's a huge issue now with a lot of content and content creators is not being honest about the kind of content that they're posting. I
Yeah.
see all the time people upset because there is content labeled as, whether it be like a boy girl shoot or a girl shoot, and it's just them showing boobs to a person. You know what I mean?
Oh
Like, and
yeah.
they're paying to see that, and they're getting scammed essentially because
Yes.
that's not what's going on in that content. It's happened to me. I've been scammed.
Me
Like,
too. Me
it
too.
feels
Me too.
bad.
Well, let me tell you, I was so disappointed. I was excited at first. I was like, oh, I'm so excited to get to support this person. Well, I've actually had it happen to me several times. And then I get on there and I don't see anything but like staged selfies with their tits out. Like that's all they post. And I'm like,
And it's
because
like the
I'm
same stuff
like,
that's on
oh,
Twitter and stuff. It's like, that's a scam. That's a scam.
yeah, yeah. My biggest thing is I really enjoy switchy submissive. So if someone has like some kind of submissive tendencies, I'm gonna be like, oh, let me see what you got going on over here. But it's like some people they make it look like, oh, I have this like submissive, I'm gonna do what you want, kind of aura, like a stage presence. And then you get into their pages and it's just like pictures of nipples. Like nipples are not just submissive. Like, show me something. So yeah, I've been let down several times too. Like I do enjoy supporting people. That's not what I'm saying. I love supporting people. But tell me what your brand is, not just what you pretend for it to be, because I need to know those things. It's going to keep me there.
Ex-
You
I
want to
think,
keep my consistency?
yeah, transparency also, with what you're doing. Be
Yeah.
honest with your fans, be the person that you would want other people to be if you were in their position. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
If you think about like scamming somebody from a different point of view, like you go to somebody's page and you're like, oh shit, that was not exactly what I thought it would be. It would leave sour taste in your mouth, right?
Oh yeah.
So if you're caring about what you're posting, go into full detail. Post an entire fucking paragraph about, in detail about what your stuff is.
Right.
That's going to attract more people to you because fans talk to each other. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Both groups of people who share their experiences, whether it be with, custom content is a huge problem in the industry right now. There are a lot
Yes.
of even top name people who take money for custom content and never deliver,
Yeah.
or they don't give any updates and it's been 6 months and the people will inquire about it, rightfully so, because they've paid for it,
Right.
and they get blocked or they get blown off once again. I
Yeah.
think such an unfortunate thing because it puts a sour taste in, consumers' mouths. They get weird.
Mhm.
They don't want to buy from people anymore. And I can't blame them. I would
Yeah.
probably feel the exact same way,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Oh, I definitely would. I've bought from several of my friends and then more people just throughout the industry. And I even had a situation where I had a friend, I had purchased a custom photo set from her because I've been trying to get more into producing as well. And she's distance, so there's no way that I could actually produce something in person. So I was just like, let me pay you and you just do it for me. So she's like, okay. And then it was like one excuse after another, after another. And I understand that we are human beings, we're not robots, we need time. But if there's something going on, just be upfront. You don't have to avoid someone, you don't have to beat around the bush. Just be like, hey, it's not a good mental health day, or hey, I've been sick. I mean, COVID, the flu, there's all kinds of stuff that's going around all the time. So just be like, I had a lot of stuff going on, or I've been sick. Let me go ahead and try to work you in for next week instead. And I'd be like, cool, I'm all for that. Thanks for the update. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. People are going to respect you a lot more when you keep them updated. Whereas if you were
Yeah.
to just, because they're gonna start thinking the worst of it, and then they start talking to their friends, and then guess what? You lose out on opportunities.
Oh, yes. And then not only does it make you look bad, but it starts to make other models look bad because they lump everybody all together.
They do. They do. I think what should be a common practice would be, and I know people are going to disagree with this because I get time wasters and so on and so forth out there. But I feel like nobody should be accepting payment for content until the content is ready to be sent. That way there's no long period of waiting, blah, blah, blah. You can tell somebody, okay, cool, I'll do that. And then make it on your own time. And then when you're ready, you say, okay, I'm ready to send this content, send payment. They send payment, you send content. It all gets done very easy.
Right. So when it comes to that kind of like the custom work, sometimes it's exhausting catering to those people. I had this one guy that was like, oh, I need you to do all of this, like specifically in this order. He was a fetishist, and it's like you couldn't have one thing out of order. It was so meticulous and exhausting. So some people are like that when it comes to customs. Others are like super chill, laid back, like, I just want you to do this. I don't care how you get it done. Just this is the direction I want you to go in. So, like, there's people out there that are cool, go with the flow, just want something from you that's tailored for them. And then other people that have to have you do this the exact way, like down to every fine detail. So, I got to tell you, when it comes to stuff like that, I make sure I get paid first because it's extremely time consuming. So, I could see kind of more not making the other people that's kind of, I guess, more convenient. The clips would be more convenient. But those people that like I got to put in a ton of time, I make sure they pay me up front.
That's
So
fair.
whenever you do your customs, how do you do it?
Oh, I don't. I do not
Okay.
custom content. It's too much for me.
It's
I
taxing.
It is. And I like filming and giving out content that I genuinely like
Right.
engaging in. I don't like doing things that I'm not interested in because my fans can tell when I'm not interested in it. You know what I
Oh,
mean? Even
yes.
just going to one person, if I'm not enjoying it, what's the point in even doing it,
Yeah.
in my opinion? So I
100%.
some content for a tiny little bit, and then I realized that I don't want to do this ever again.
Mhm. That's kind of where I am with custom stuff. I don't do all custom stuff. I only do whenever someone approaches me and they're like, do you do this kind of content? I'm like, well, give me a rough idea of what you want. And I make them write it all out for me. And then after they send me essentially this little book to tell me kind of what they want, then I'll be like, yeah, I'm okay with that. Or no, I'm not into it. Because, like you said, if you're not into it, then not only are you not going to perform as well, but it's like then that's sitting on your name. That becomes a part of your brand. And I don't want something that looks like nasty or terrible or like I'm not into it being associated with my brand, you know?
And it's out there,
Yeah.
there's no taking that back. It's out there. There's nothing you can do about it. And if you're not proud of it, you don't want to regret doing those things.
Yeah. 100%. So that kind of leads me to my next question for you. Do you enjoy being an adult star as a whole?
I do. Honestly, I know that, a lot of people think that we're miserable and we're only doing this because it's money and blah, 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 which obviously money is the forefront of
Right,
most.
right.
I've loved every part of being in this industry. It's taken me to places that I would not otherwise have been. I've
Mm,
gotten to travel. I've met some really, really amazing people, the friendships, the connections. It's just been overall a really positive experience for me. Obviously there's little things in there that have happened where, I'm not proud of, or,
right.
I wish I'd done better, but the good definitely outweighs the bad for me.
Yes, that's fucking beautiful. I fucking love it. I love it. Okay, so that kind of leads to the next question I had for you. With looking at different things associated with the industry, a lot of people don't have a support system when it comes to being like outside of the community. Do you have anyone that kind of supports you that's not included in the industry, just like friends or family that you kind of share your experiences with and they support you?
Oh, absolutely. My entire family is very supportive. My mom and dad actually even helped with my emails before. They've come to conventions with me. they've been fully supportive since day one,
That's
of me
awesome.
wanting um, my sisters, two of my sisters have previously done some type of sex work before, so it wasn't a surprise to
Right.
my parents, I guess you would say, because they've had experience with, their children doing these types of things. My mom
Right.
always said from the very first day that I started doing this, she said, if you're happy, healthy, and saving money, that's all I care about.
Very nice. I love it. I love it. So I'm super, super glad that you have that good support system because I feel like a lot of people come into the industry and they try to do like the no face kind of stuff and they get upset. Like it creates extra anxiety because they don't feel like they have anyone to share that with or anyone just to talk about their day to day shit with. I feel like a lot of them would be better off if they just had somebody that they could speak to about it because any job gets heavy. Like it doesn't matter what you're in, any job gets heavy.
Absolutely. And it's also harder on people because, there is that stigma around sex work, and you really have to worry about who you're telling these things to because you never
Mhm.
know how somebody is going to react,
Yeah,
and then you have to worry about, oh no, have I damaged this relationship?
right.
I think it would, if we had, again, some type of little support group that people could go to and like vent their frustrations or, find support in one another or even other people's families. I know that my mom has, talked to and taken on several of my friends as far
Yeah.
as support. Even if we had something like that, I think people would greatly benefit from it. We need to talk about this stuff, whether it's
Yes.
experience or negative experience, we need to talk about it.
Yes, I completely agree because when it comes to to anything within the community, um, it makes you feel more secure and more confident whenever you can openly express yourself. Like if you're always worried about offending someone else, or maybe like we were talking about earlier, the situation with agents and stuff, you feel like you're going to disappoint them and all this stuff, and you keep it bottled up that could really affect the longevity of you being in the industry to begin with because it gets so heavy you just can't do it anymore.
Absolutely. And that's honestly a huge problem because you see these people come in and there's like, I guess you would call it an urban legend among the community. The shelf life, quote unquote, this is not something that I've said, it's
Right.
something that I've for the record. The shelf life of new porn stars or people getting into the industry is anywhere between 3 and 6 months because either you find out that you're not cut out for it or it gets to be too much.
Right.
You whether it be like outside influence or influence that comes from within you because you're battling yourself on whether or not this is right for you, people will leave.
Hmm. Yeah. And that's one of those things where it would help if more information was available so that people were more confident and comfortable going in. So you didn't have to just kind of like throw stuff at the wall and see if it sticks?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So let's go ahead and talk about. I know we were talking about negative and positive experiences. Whenever you were a child, a teenager, early adulthood, did you ever have a situation where you were abused in any way, whether it was sexually, mentally, physically, or emotionally?
Yes. Yes. I've experienced a few of those.
Okay.
And I think, that's something like if you aren't able to talk about it, if you aren't able to get, a resolution from it, I know that's like a lot of that stuff is swept under the rug, I think,
Oh, yes.
with families, stuff like that. And some people never get the opportunity to heal from that kind of stuff.
Yes.
As an adult, I was fortunate enough to come to terms with a lot of stuff, to have the resources to be able to reach out to people. And I guess I would say, like, uh, not be cured from it, but learn how to come to terms with it.
Right. You develop healthy coping mechanisms. You get insights and information that you didn't have available previously. Like it's another one of those things that you literally have to learn. It's not like people just realize one day just like a light comes on with, "Oh, this is how I heal." No. Like, that's not how it works. People don't realize that there are steps that you have to take. Just like whenever you're conditioned, whenever you have bad experiences and you get used to bad experiences because you were conditioned under them, you literally have to recondition yourself to positive things, to healing. And I feel like a lot of people just kind of get stuck in that mood and they kind of get scared of it and don't want to talk about it. But the only way to move past it is to learn healthy coping mechanisms and learn how to heal.
And everybody's healing process is going to be different.
Oh, yeah.
You know what the things that happen to us when we're children or young adults, those traumatic things, a lot of the time, those things are not our fault.
Exactly.
It's not your fault. And, the things that come after that, though, your healing process, you have to kickstart that. Because
Mhm.
if you don't, that could really change the rest of your life. It's not your fault, the things that happen to you, but it is your responsibility to find out how to start healing from that.
Yes. Yes, I don't think there is a more true statement. Like, you owe it to yourself to not get stuck in that, whatever that may be for you. Because I'm going to tell you, the majority of people that attack you and hurt you, they want you to sit there. They want you stuck in that moment. And sometimes it's their subconscious. They don't realize that they're doing it. Maybe it was done to them. But the reality of it is, after you get so old and you realize, hey, that was trauma. Hey, that was pain that I carry with me. Let's go ahead and take the steps to be better. I want to grow as a person. Let me find a way to heal from what I was going through, what I went through.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think at some point in your life, you realize that, right? But I feel like there should be some way that we can teach people that you can start that healing at any time. You
Yeah.
don't have to wait to start that healing. You don't have to sit on those emotions, that trauma that is hurting you.
Yes.
There's no and there's no time limit on it either. If you start healing when you're 50 years old, you're healing. You're
Yes.
processing. Sometimes it takes a long time to get there.
Yes. I completely agree. It's kind of like the stigma around sex work too. Like, there's a certain age to get in. There's not a certain age to get in because there's literally niches for everything.
Everything. Everything. I mean, I didn't get into the industry until I was 25.
Mhm.
And, I remember my agent, he was like, "You're 25?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Yeah. Is that weird? Is that bad? He's like, "No, but we might have a little bit trouble booking you." I never had a single problem getting booked,
Yeah.
ever. When I gained weight, people were like, "Oh, you're going to have a harder time getting booked." I had never been more booked when I
Yeah.
gained weight. When you have a fan base, they're going to love you no matter what. And like you said, they're
Yes.
out there for everybody. You don't have to be like what everybody says a porn star is supposed to be.
Right.
You don't have to do that.
Yes. I completely agree. And I feel like a lot of people either get in and get out quick because they're scared of expectations for a porn star, or they don't even get started at all from fear of what people would think of them. Like, I'm going to tell you, there's literally an audience for anyone and anything. I can tell you right now, I'm a part of the fetish kink world, and there's literally fetish and kink for everything. Like, everything.
Everything. Yes.
so so don't let that discourage you. I know that a lot of people have this stigma from the outside, but I can tell you that there's going to be work for you. There's going to be something that you're interested in, but you have to allow yourself to heal if you went through something and kind of get on the other side where you're more successful. I'm not going to say that kind of some of our experiences didn't kind of lead us to where we are. Like, I was abused in many different forms from the time I was 3 years old up until I was 26. Yeah. So I feel like part of me kind of got into being a pro dom because I wanted to help other people that didn't have power, or they didn't have someone just to listen to. Because there are days that I'm just a fucking therapist for people. They will literally just pay me to listen to them.
I really
So,
like
what did you say?
I really like that. And it's admirable for you to have gone through such things and to come out on the other side, with empathy for other people who might also be going through those things.
Yeah. It's like not everybody thinks about that, but there are plenty of people out there that they may not be going through the same thing you're going through, but they're going through something similar around about somehow. And you don't have to do it alone. That's kind of where I started my mission. I actually started a YouTube self-help channel many, many years ago. And I just wanted to let people know that they weren't alone, that they could have abnormal interests and it was perfectly fine and they should love themselves. And I still want to continue that to this day. It just so happens I started the podcast because I'd been listening to several different people with podcasts, and some of these people would be interviewing sex workers and they don't know anything about sex work. So it's kind of like they're leeching off of our community. And I'm like, it's cool if you want your stuff to grow and you want to feature this person, but it's like the questions that they were asking weren't really about sex work and how you kind of developed in it. It was, what do you think about tits? What do you think about ass? And I'm like, you're not asking the right questions, damn it.
No, I totally agree with that. And a lot of the times, these people who don't know anything about sex work, I'm going to go out as far as to say 98% of the time, they're interviewing these people to fit a narrative of their own. They're not really interviewing us because they're interested in us and,
Yeah.
they like what we're doing. They support us or whatever have you. A lot of the time, these interviews happen so that people can turn around and twist your words and make it seem like it's some awful thing that happens to you instead of being chosen for you, you know?
Oh yeah, 100%. That reminds me of kind of many, I guess it was like a year ago, it wasn't many years. About a year ago, I found a YouTube podcast. This guy, he just interviews people and he likes to shine a light on the darker side of sex work and people that are like into some kind of drugs or people that um basically the worst end of sex work or drugs, or there was this one family he did that was like inbred and all this stuff, and I'm just like, where's the good in this? Like, I like the interviews, I like to hear people and their perspective, but it's like whenever someone that doesn't know anything about sex work and that's the only thing that they see, they don't understand that that's not what all of us do. That's not what all of us sound like. We're not all out here, jacking somebody on the in a back alley for a fucking bump. You know what I mean? Like,
And what's the funniest part about people who do those interviews? It's like, all of that shit happens to people who work an office job or, somebody who works at McDonald's or, a
yeah,
CEO of a company. They do those exact same things. They go through those exact same things, but
yeah,
people want to focus on porn stars and people who are in the adult industry because there's already that connotation that we are doing this, we're on drugs because we're doing this, or,
yeah.
we've had some type of thing happen to us that has led us here, something negative, it's always got to be something negative.
Yep, that's exactly right. And that's kind of where I was like, you know what? Fuck all these people and their negative opinion. I'm ready to show the beauty. I want to show the people that, yeah, maybe we had a rocky start, but I tell you what, we're on fucking top now. And it's not because of the pain that we experienced, it's because of the power that we found.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. This job, and people will be like, "Oh, how is it empowering to, do what you do?" Well, that comes in different shapes and sizes for everyone.
Yeah,
You might think that cooking makes you feel empowered. You have great skills as a chef, and that's what it gets you going, or
right.
whatever job that you have, you could be a lawyer and that's what drives you. That's what empowers you. It's different for everybody. Just
Hmm.
because you get and you film it doesn't mean that it's not empowering. It's different strokes for different folks.
Yes, 100%, 100%. That's our tagline. Different strokes for different folks. We love it here. So that kind of leads me to the next question that I actually had for you. Um, whenever you got into sex work, it was kind of a process for you to get to where you are now. How has sex work kind of helped you grow as an individual?
It's taught me a lot to be patient and to think for myself and to apply those things to also my real life, but not, not just sex work, but to my
Mhm.
real life. Be smarter about things, to think things through, to be able to trust people openly, because when you're sharing so much of yourself in the industry, you kind of look at your life. And, me being a person who's pretty closed off, it helped me kind of get out there and meet people and make friends and do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like reach out to people as a person who used to never do that. Like
Right. Yeah.
going out to events, where usually that type of stuff would give me massive anxiety.
Mhm. Yes. That's beautiful. I love that it's kind of helped round you as a person. It gave you more confidence. It allowed you to think independently, but it allowed you to also work with other people. So like all around, it just kind of it helped you be more round as an individual and be more confident as a person. Speaking
It
of,
really,
if no one follows Gia's Twitter, you need to get on over there because I'm going to tell you there's an amazing new product that you definitely want to have in your home. I'm looking at it right now. And I can tell you that uh let me just leave this little tagline. Pies are mandatory. So you want to get over there and get that. That's something that you need to have in your house.
think every household should have one.
Yes. Yes, I'm looking into getting one for myself because
That
I
would be
feel
wonderful.
I feel like it would definitely be a great additive. And I did you come up with the design on it?
For the coochie piece or
Yeah.
for the art or yeah, so we work together pretty evenly, me and the
Mhm.
company. This has
Okay.
been something that we've been working on for quite a few months now. It was really hard to keep it a secret. It is my very first collaboration with a toy, and it was so cool because, I'll be honest with you, I never saw myself being a fleshlight girl.
Okay.
I not the type of person that they pick to do that stuff. I would go so far as to say the opposite.
Mhm.
So I knew that was never going to happen. And being a fan of this company and having them reach out to me was so much better than,
Oh yeah.
maybe picked for the other. You know what I mean? This was something that I'm so proud of, that I can actually say that I put my all into. It
Yeah.
wasn't just, getting picked to do something and you're like, yay. No, this was something that I was so geeked when they reached out
Yeah.
to me. I'm like, no fucking way it's happening. Like, no way.
Oh, I fucking love it. I love the box too. It is so colorful and just kind of like out there. It's not like the plain boxes on a lot of the other shit. Like I've bought a lot of boxes before and it's been like the overall presentation hasn't been that well, but I'm gonna tell you, I fucking love yours.
I hired an artist to create the art on the box, actually. Their at name on Twitter is Luca for you. They are wonderful. They've done a
Okay.
couple illustrations of me before, just,
Mhm.
putting them out there, but I actually commissioned them for this one.
Mm.
Such a beautiful job. I'm honestly like, I feel like that is, like you said, that's what people are going to see. That's what draws the eye to it is the
Yeah,
color, the
yeah.
detail and stuff like that.
That's what stopped me. I was scrolling through Twitter and I was like, oh, what is this?
It grabs the eye as
Yes.
well as things once you get it.
Yeah, yeah. I love it. I love it. I was gonna mention that and I was like, well, I have your page up. I'm actually scrolling through your page as we're having the interview today. And I'm gonna tell you that I really, really enjoyed following you over time. And I want to shed some light. Anybody that's listening and they kind of don't know how it is to be in the public eye, I'm going to tell you whenever you start out, or it doesn't matter if you're a new model or if you're a model that's been here for 10 years, you're going to have somebody that tries to throw some shade your way, somebody that tries to be hateful and fucking gross and shit. And Gia, I noticed that we both know that you've been doing this for a little while now. And I noticed the other day that someone was just being super fucking shitty. Like they even tagged you whenever they were talking about how kind of rest in peace to the old Gia. And I'm like, what is wrong with people? Like, the amount of negativity and pain that people try to project because they're not happy with themselves on someone that's changing. Like, there's plenty of reasons why people gain weight and lose weight. Like, there's so many reasons. There's health reasons, there's medication, there's maybe somebody just changed their lifestyle. Like, there's a lot of factors. And people don't realize how negatively that some people try to be. But it's kind of one of those things where you have to learn that those people, they don't represent you. They don't represent anything that you are. They're literally just projecting because they're unhappy with themselves.
Absolutely. And oh my God, people are so mean. Like, if I had a fucking penny for every single time somebody was mean to me online, I could retire. I could retire my entire family. It
Yeah.
is unfortunately a very real thing that comes along with being online and in general, let
Yeah.
alone taking your clothes off for people. People are so fucking mean. But the
Yeah.
important thing to take away from it is that those things are coming from a complete stranger. They
Yeah.
don't know you. You don't know them. When you close the app, they go away. It will sting. It will hurt. Don't get me wrong.
Mhm.
But that's not coming from somebody you love. If it was coming from somebody you love and that you knew, that would devastate you, right? But this
Right.
is a random person online that is just getting the
It,
outside, and it's, oh, you're not what I want. Well, fuck you then. Okay. And there's so
yeah.
many other people in the industry that you can go look at that would look exactly what you're describing. Like, why are you bothering me with this?
Yeah.
But they're too ignorant to do that. And you kind of have to almost laugh at it because it's like,
Mhm.
what are you telling me that I'm fat? It's like, okay, I don't know what you want me to do about that at 11:30 on a fucking Monday.
Yeah.
You number 6729, John. Like, it's just laughable. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah. Oh,
Instagram is so fucking toxic. When I got deleted from Instagram, it was the biggest blessing to my life
mhm.
because like I could shut that door. Those people couldn't get to me anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's always going to be trolls.
Oh,
It doesn't
yes.
matter. You try to avoid it. The best thing to do, if you want to cuss them out. Don't listen to people when they say, "Oh, just don't engage with them." If it
Yeah.
makes or it feels better to tell them to go fuck themselves, do it. Do
Yeah.
it. However you want to handle that situation, do it. That's
Yeah.
what I would do. I mean, I had a guy who used to harass me relentlessly about how my boobs might have milk in them and, oh, show me your milky boobs, blah blah blah. I called him the boob milk guy because he once he told me, he was like, your milk tanker, blah blah blah. And you know what I did with it? I turned around and I made it the title of my fucking toy. I made a good thing out of a bad thing. And
Yeah.
sometimes you can do that.
Yeah. Hell yeah, you can. And it sells. People like that, they just want your attention for free. That's all it is. They're like,
Yep.
I know that I don't deserve this person, and how could I fish for attention and get a reaction out of them? And that's what they're there for. They're there for the reaction. There's two things that I do whenever someone is fishing for attention. One, if they are humiliation into any kind of humiliation, and I can tell, I'll just block them and not give a fuck. But if they're the kind of person that's not into humiliation, I'm like, let me go ahead and just shit all over your parade. Because
Exactly.
it's one of those things where they have to realize that we are human beings too. There are, I mean, let's be realistic. Everybody has some kind of insecurity somewhere. It doesn't matter how big or small it is, there's some kind of insecurity somewhere. And if you're taking your time to shit on somebody, then that shows that you're just a terrible person all around, because there's no reason you should be just shitting on someone for existing.
It says a lot more about that person than it does of you.
Yes.
Like, at the end of the day, they're lonely. They're miserable people who go online
Mhm.
and, try to attack people to get attention or, attack people just because they're miserable.
Oh, yeah.
Then, there's something, those people need to be studied. I would be willing to pay for them to be studied,
Yeah.
or interview one of them,
Yeah.
seriously sit down and be like, so what makes you tick?
Yeah. I bet a lot of it derives from emotional and physical pain that they had starting in early childhood, a lot from them not getting enough attention and having someone spin those good moments that leave good impressions. Because the majority of people that I've talked to that had those kind of issues, that's literally where it's came from. There's been studies done on it. I actually have a major in psychology, so I've studied it for a while, and I found that this is where it's at for me. Getting to talk to people, getting to see kind of what they're doing, where they developed, and how they turned whatever they went through, regardless of what it was, into some kind of power. They kind of wanted to be what they didn't have at some point in their life, whether that's you standing up for yourself whenever you couldn't, or you being a light to someone else because maybe there was a time where you couldn't speak to someone. And those kind of people didn't turn whatever happened to them into something positive. They turned it into something negative. So then they got to shit on other people to kind of give them that 2 seconds of that chemical rush. And it's sad. Like, go to fucking therapy.
No, for real. Like there's even free resources. Like sometimes I send like free therapy resources. I'm like, here you go.
Yeah. And that is a good thing. Like, they need to do more of that. People need to be like, hey, I have this problem, let me go fix it, instead of like shitting on somebody else. Like, that's fucking stupid and immature, you know?
Yeah, and it
So
sucks.
I have two questions left for you, and then I will let you get on your day because I know that you're an extremely busy individual. My first is, do you have any kind of soft or hard limits when it comes to filming? And is there just like something that you just refuse to film?
It's funny because in the beginning, um, one of my hard no's was any type of feet content,
Mhm.
strictly because like my feet are way too ticklish and I don't want to kick somebody.
Right.
Uh, but that's changed. I actually like doing foot content now. But the one thing that has stayed consistent that I really don't like engaging in is simulated rape content
Okay.
because it is a trigger for me.
Right.
And I've had the unfortunate experience of having been booked for that kind of stuff, even
Oh,
though I've made it clear that that is not the type of content that I'd shoot. So
right.
I've had those boundaries crossed before, and it fucking sucks.
Yeah.
And if anybody is listening to this that feels like they might go through something similar, please never hesitate to say, fuck you. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Don't ever cross that boundary with yourself. Don't. Not at,
Yes.
the sake of somebody else or some content. It's not worth it.
Or a couple dollars. Like, there's no reason to put yourself through extended trauma like that that could potentially impair you for future shoots to get a couple dollars.
Absolutely. It's not worth it.
So, with all that being said, let's go to my very last question, which is going to be, can you tell me what a day in the life of Gia Paige looks like?
So, it is really hard being your own manager. It can be rough. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
try to set the same schedule every day. I wake up and when I'm still laying in my bed, I get on OnlyFans. I do all my messages, or, I'll start my messaging. And then I have puppies. So I come downstairs, I let my babies out, and I continue my messaging. Usually I'll map out, I try to shoot a content scene every other week
Mhm.
so that I can every other week uploads. So I'll brainstorm ideas or I'll be talking with people on my pages to get a consensus on, what kind of stuff I should be shooting.
Right.
I, I make a list of all of the things that I should consider, all of the things I might need, anything I might set up, acquiring things for a background of things, basically just production stuff.
Right.
And promoting on Twitter. I'm very active on Twitter. I try to be as myself and as relatable as I can be to people.
Hmm.
Um, Twitter is a big part of my day because I don't have Instagram anymore. And I mean, it's not like Instagram was very sex worker friendly, anyways,
Yeah.
but you have to stay promoting yourself. So that's a big, big part of my day. And a lot of my day is consumed by just OnlyFans stuff. People don't understand what a big chunk of time that takes to do that. It's not just oh, upload a piece of content and then let it sit.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. I mean, you could do that, but I don't think you'd be as successful as you'd like to be.
Right.
So huge chunk of my time taken up by that. And then, I do give myself, days to chill out. And, when I'm not feeling good, I let myself relax. But I try very hard each day to do something, whether it be responding to emails or, getting back to people about potential content shoots and stuff like that. I try to just stay as busy as I can and not let myself get too comfortable being lazy.
Yeah, because I'm gonna tell you, if you take like 3 or 4 days off, you're like, oh, do I really want to do it today? Can I take one more day off?
Exactly. And it's so easy to just be like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it
Yeah.
tomorrow. Tomorrow, just do something,
Yeah.
even if it's just like, taking a couple pictures and responding to a couple people or putting a message out there.
Hmm.
No new content today, but like, here's a couple little things that I'm doing or blah, blah, blah. Just, anything.
Like
Do
I'm still
any.
here.
Yes, I still
Yeah.
exist.
Yeah, for sure. And that reminds me of kind of whenever I started getting into the OnlyFans world, everybody's like, oh, well, if you sign up for OnlyFans, then you're going to make $1 million and stuff. And I'm like, obviously, you never signed up for OnlyFans.
Yeah, no. I'll tell you what, I started OnlyFans. I was probably 2 or geez, maybe even 3 years into the business, and I made like $10 for the first 3 months that I had an OnlyFans. And then,
Yeah.
I got eventually like, oh, $50. It takes a long time to build a reputation out there because not everybody is coming from, your page. They might not even know you. They just
Yeah.
might have accidentally stumbled upon you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't matter necessarily how big of a name you have. That's a completely different ball field than doing
Right.
mainstream. You have
Yeah.
to figure out a way to get people to subscribe to that. It's a paywall behind it, or it's,
Hmm.
content behind the paywall. Whatever way you want to cut it, it's a different type of work than just showing up to set, having a good time, and going home, getting your check.
Yeah, and you have to do all that marketing yourself. There's no internal search engine on there. You literally have to get people over there.
By yourself.
Yeah.
And you
Like,
have to do yourself, the creative background of it, the
mhm.
setting up that, buying the toys, doing whatever, but wardrobe, editing, the
And
whole
that shit
nine.
is all expensive. Like,
It is. It is. It's
expensive as hell.
you really can't cut corners with it either because the biggest complaint I see right now with OnlyFans content is low quality. It's filmed on Snapchat or, done
I
with Snap.
can verify that myself. I subscribe to several people's, and I'm gonna tell you, the photos were so fuzzy, I couldn't tell what body part it was that they were taking a picture of. I was like, I feel like maybe if that's your phone, you need a new phone. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Absolutely. You can't make it, it can't be fucking filmed on a Nokia phone. You have to do something.
Yeah.
You have to upgrade your equipment. I made the extremely smart decision about 3 years ago to invest in a good camcorder, a waterproof camera, a good computer,
Right.
editing software, stuff like that. It's a good thing to do for yourself and your content and the
Yes.
longevity, of being in this industry.
I completely agree, especially if you want your brand to grow into something more successful progressively, then you're going to have to progressively get better with your content. Like I can understand starting out that you don't have enough funds and you're just kind of shooting whatever you have going on. But as you get into the business, your product should reflect you. So as you get that experience, you should be getting better quality stuff. You should be, fine tuning stuff to be better for your client base because overall, giving them that positive experience is going to keep that consistency for you, right?
100%. You need to be investing in your brand in some way, shape, or form. And I think good equipment is one of the top things that should be up there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much for your time, Miss Gia Page. I'm going to go ahead and let you get back to your everyday life. Everybody, remember to go follow at Gia Page on Twitter and then all those lovely links that she has available for you. Thank you again for joining us on Forbidden Depths, and we'll see you at the next episode.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. Hey, it's Queen Frostbitten again, your host. I just want to remind you that you can follow us on YouTube at Forbidden Depths. That's FORBIDDENDEPTHS. Or over on Twitter at the number 4 BIDDENDPODCAST. Remember to always stay educated, consensual, and safe. We'll see you on the next show.